Hey there, Shooby Doodlers. How are you doing? It is Monday, the 6th of April 2020, in case you're watching in 3020 or something like that. And we are in the middle of the corona lockdown. That's all I'm going to mention about it, because we're not here about that. We're here about to forget about all that stuff, to talk about drawing and stuff like that. And I can see we have got Judy in the big shed. We've got Crispin Troy. Heinrich Reculem says hi, Shoo. I think that's a new name. I'm not sure. And so I've been kind of thinking quite a lot about this. I'm lucky. I still have quite a lot of other stuff to do. Friday, I kind of got a bit, or rather Thursday, I got a bit panicked, and I thought, oh, I need the weekend to get some some stuff done. So I've been roughing out a book, which I need to now get on and illustrate. I got another book I need to rough out as well. They're not big books. They're just quite small books. They're only about 20 pages, something like that. And so I'm kind of thinking, how am I carrying on with this? Because this is kind of a lockdown drawing thing. I want to be here for you every day. And what I quite enjoyed last week was the perspective drawing, and I felt that there was more to sort of talk about there, and just really kind of scratching the surface, and listening to your comments, I kind of realised perspective can be a little tricky for some people, and maybe I've just been doing it for so long. Maybe I have a kind of geometric brain. I'm interested in geometry, and geometry was something that came up in the discussion, and people going, oh, this is like math. And I've become so international, I say math and not maths. In the UK we call it maths, and in the States it's math. So there is a lot of kind of geometry and stuff in there, and I think if you didn't pay attention when you were at school, maybe perspective is a little daunting, whereas when I was at school I just loved geometry, and so that kind of stuff sort of comes, I suppose, more naturally to me. But I think again a lot of this is practice, and the more you do little perspective kind of exercises, and maybe that's what I need to do, is kind of build up a little set of perspective exercises that you can kind of do every day, just little pencil thumbnail things, just to kind of get this idea into your head. So what I'm also thinking of now is, because I've got so much other things to do, is maybe I should be here like an agony uncle, a drawing agony uncle, so that you come here with your drawing problems, so I don't have to sort of sit around all day thinking, what am I going to talk about on today's show? What's today's show going to be? So that, if you've got things that you're going to say, I just don't understand this, and I don't kind of know how to do that, do let me know. You can let me know in the comments here, in the comments box below on YouTube, on Twitter. So I wonder if I can come up with I can put a little overlay here and go, and I can put at Shoo Rayner. Okay, so I'm going to put that little thing there. So if you want to put on Twitter or Instagram, you will find me at Shoo Rayner, and let me just put the other one in there. So if I go and if you put hashtag Shooby Doodle, then I'm also kind of looking out for that hashtag, so I will find things. And in fact, if I go to if I go to that first, yeah, there we go, and I go and put in Twitter, we should be able to come up with Twitter hashtag Shooby Doodle and see what comes up, because I think I saw something today. I have to find that now. There was something new popped up today. There we are. I haven't seen this one before, and this is from Vanilla Milch, which I think means vanilla milk. And so this is my little sketch that I did, draw along with me things, Shooby Doodle, and I think I'm kind of recognising these characters as kind of continuing on, and from my little kind of cartoon series things that I've done. So Vanilla Milch, keep doing it. And just doing these little doodles every day. It is the secret. It is the answer. I'm trying to come back. Where am I? I'm looking in the wrong window. I'm trying to see myself in Safari. The secret is practice, just a little bit every day. And part of it is just having a pencil or a pen in your hand and just keep that movement going and that connection. There is this connection between your brain, your eyes into your brain, and then it goes all the way down your arm to your finger. It's just the most immediate connection of creativity. It's the ideas in your brain coming straight out onto a piece of paper. There is nothing more immediate when it comes to creativity than drawing, and that's what we're here for. So let's actually talk about some actually we've got a few more comments here. Heinrich Curriculum says, how are you, by the way, Shoo? I am fine, thank you. I've had a lovely walk. I'm really lucky where I live, and we watch the TV and see people going to parks and being moved on by the police, and we are just really, really lucky because I just have to walk up the hill and we got thousands of acres of forest, and you hardly see anybody as you're going around. You see one or two, but actually see, I think going for walks in the forest, have been meeting people I haven't seen for a long time, actually, and sort of meeting up and saying hello as you sort of pass either side of the path. So I've actually sort of seen people I haven't seen for quite a long time. Peter Ray says, hey Jack, Jack and Daddy watching from Sherwood, Nottingham. How are you doing? That's where Robin Hood comes from. Everybody who's watching, you've all heard of Robin Hood. Sherwood Forest, that's where. So you got Sherwood Forest. Yeah, do you actually have a forest in Sherwood? I know they're planting that national forest around there, aren't they? Do you still have a forest in Sherwood? We certainly have a forest here in the Forest of Dean. Real Karim says, hi, the Big Shed said, I don't think you can help my brain to remember to leave the white highlights when I paint. I think that's just more practice. I think so. Jessica Taylor, I could draw round faces in different angles. Fine, but I really struggle when adding the chin. Okay, I'll remember that. JR Brick Builders, love the video, Shoo. Always appreciate your help. And frankly, your voice is just so relaxing. Hey, no, I bet. Yeah, no. Okay. Kristen Try says, think of the chin as another mini head with the same centre line attached to the big head. Yeah, I'll get around to that, Jessica. Okay, but right at the moment, I'm going to go over to the overhead camera, and there's some things I was thinking about that I wanted to sort of take on from. I'll just get a different pencil. It's a bit darker. And I'll get my super duper sharpener, which I should have had with me. And I started last week talking about rooms, how to draw a room, and it was Sonia asked about drawing rooms, and she was having terrible problems. So everything of we're looking into a room, and think of it as a little stage set. Like the stage, you know, even think you've got little curtains there, and the curtains have just opened, ta-da, and we're looking on a stage set. And the easiest, the most obvious thing to do is to draw diagonals. Now I think you can see that. So let's zoom in a little bit. Ooh, that's what we want there. And I'm just thinking I've got another screen here which would help me to see what I'm doing. I just turn that on, but it doesn't want to come on. Is that coming on? And then draw a diagonal down there. No, oh, it doesn't want that. It's not plugged in. Let me just get the... it is, but it isn't. So anyway, we'll forget about that. So let's get that in the middle. So let's imagine that this is... You're sitting in a theatre, the curtains have just gone back, and it's a sitting room. Or a bedroom, and it was a bedroom, wasn't it? And we need a back wall, so we could do the back wall like that. It's going there, and we could kind of rub most of that out. Now Sonia wanted to have a wardrobe in the back, so that's going to be pressed right up against the back wall, and then that's the centre point. That is the vanishing point where these lines cross. the horizon behind, outside the theatre, the horizon line is going to be there. So what we need to do is to take that line there, build that forward a bit. That will come forward a bit. So this will actually be the front of the wardrobe. And if we take that there and that there, then it needs to be just slightly bigger. So we're kind of drawing an invisible box that will be the wardrobe. Does this make sense? And let's have a little chest of drawers here, pressed up against the wall just to make it easy. So that will then come down like that. That will be parallel to the horizontal. And we can build the drawers up. That's the side of the drawers. That's going to the vanishing point. That's going to the vanishing point. So the drawers are going to be something like that, and then the actual drawers will be following these vanishing point lines as well, and they'll be there like that. And then that whole thing that we did with the checked floor we can do in here as well. So we'll have a fancy checked floor for the bedroom. That's not really a good look for the bedroom, is it really? And that will give us kind of a floor plan. And in fact, you could use this floor plan if you went and drew a little floor plan like that, as if it's an aerial view. So you can say, I want the wardrobe to be there, and I want the chest of drawers to be there. And you can then take that that floor plan, and then you just sort of turn it like that, and then you know where it's going to be. Does that make sense? I know there's a 10-second delay, so I'll come back and see if anybody has anything to say about that. So where are we now? Maxine Davis, hi. Oh, something in Russian there. Hi, Shoo, just want to ask a question. I thought about buying a graphic tablet and start learning on that. Never drawn before, and I'm interested in digital art. Is it okay to skip traditional? It's completely okay to skip traditional. There are no rules at all. It's I've got to say that if you get that is about the cheapest investment in a hobby or a pastime or even a business. One of my lecturers at college used to say, that is the cheapest business that you can start in the world, probably. A pencil and a piece of paper, and you can do a drawing and you can sell it and make money. So, of course, it's not quite that simple. Like any other business, you've got to find a buyer, which is always the tricky bit. Who has cash they want to spend as well. So that is the tricky bit. So it depends. I think if you get a tablet, what did you say there? A graphic tablet. So I don't know whether you mean, because I have a graphic tablet here, and I have a Wacom. Whoops! Everything falling apart. I have a Wacom tablet and pen that I use, which is attached to my computer, and I use that as a mouse, as I've said before. I don't have a mouse. Well, I do, but I don't use it. And I use this because I find I can use this all day long, whereas a mouse gives me terrible pains in my hand. So, and I use this is very good for Photoshop and touching up, that kind of thing. If you've already got a tablet, as in an iPad or I don't know. I mean, there are great programs out there, like Procreate. Procreate is a really good one, I think. And what's it? The Affinity Photo. You can do all sorts of things in the Affinity Suite. You can get on iPad, I know. Which is so if you've already got an iPad, that's a reasonable way to start. It depends how much you want to spend. It depends how much you want to spend 2 months down the line thinking, oh, it would have been cheaper to have just started with pencil and paper. I have done a lot of digital art in the past, and I just got very bored with it. And I've come back to doing traditional because I just enjoy it much more. So it's what you enjoy. There is one thing I do find with digital, because you are using a lot of filters and things which other people have designed, some of the work is actually theirs, and some of the coolness of a graphic image isn't actually your work at all. It's the work of the filters and everything else that somebody else has already worked out for you. Does that make sense? So, relax says, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's good evening. Susie's Playroom says, hi, everyone. Relax. Oh, talking about it. Do you have any recommendations for a graphic tablet for a not so high budget? I really like Wacom because they don't have batteries and they just kind of work. And I know other things do, and I've tried other things. I just do like Wacom, but the Wacom Bamboo is is their cheaper version, and that kind of works quite well. But I'm not pushing it. Okay, I'm not getting anything for saying so. Susie's Playroom. I have been learning from Phil Davis, and he is wonderful. However, I love your easy approach and explanation. I don't know Phil Davis. I'll have to look that up. Trails TM, hi there, Shoo Trails. Alan Kuchatsik. Is my wife left me? I am very sorry. And you'll have to tell me how I pronounce that. Who says, yep, tablet and pen, not a screen mode. Can you say how you might say that for an English person? Because that's quite difficult. And I don't know Cyrillic. I think that's Cyrillic anyway. So let me go back to Stephen Biffin says, hi, thanks for keeping us entertained during lockdown. It's a pleasure. Thank you for being here. So I'm going to go back to the overhead screen, and I'm going to take on this single crease pen on Blender. New Age 2D in 3D space, says Trails TM. Which means nothing to me. So I am going over to the overhead camera. And I'm going to move on with this. Let's keep going with this bedroom. Okay, so let's imagine that this is, again, you're sitting in a theatre, the curtains have just drawn, ta-da! Everybody applauds the set, and we're going to take a different line on the horizon because we've got the horizon right in the middle there. You can take the horizon right down here if you want, which means the vanishing point is going to be there. So we take these lines going up to the corners, which gives us a very, very different feeling immediately. So let's put in the back wall, like that, something like that. And we'll just kind of fade that out a little bit. So now we want to get that wardrobe again in here. So we're going to sort of put the back of the wardrobe up there. Then we would kind of draw those lines through there and through there, so that then we know that the wardrobe will be about that deep at the front and about that high at the front. And we've now drawn an invisible box which takes up the space of the wardrobe. And then, you know, you can put, you know, the little bits on the top. You can, you know, have mirrors in the front and do whatever you like. But you kind of worked out exactly where it fits into the room. And here, then we've got the side of the chest of drawers. Drawing and trying to remember what things are at the same time. And let's draw these lines in. So this time the chest of drawers is going to look something like that, and we had 4 there, didn't we? And that actually looks a lot more natural, doesn't it? So that, you know, this is just a really unusual kind of view. And then we can have those can have the floor in there like that as well. And you know, you can have the ceiling light coming in there, something like that. And we might want a picture rail or something like that, which you can then, again, we're kind of following with those lines, aren't we? And we can put that in there, something like that. So that then is bringing the horizon down, and it just kind of starts looking a little bit more realistic. It's still a bit distorted. So let's go back and see, what have you got to say about that? Says, thank you very much for your response. I'm sorry, I just don't know how to pronounce that at all. I want to say Amentopo, but I know it's not. No. Tom Riley, Amentopo. I honestly think that the tablet, not the screen one, can get tricky because the hand-eye coordination is completely different. Digital is great because the colours never dry out. Keep up. Okay. Yeah, no, it's very, very different. And I know sometimes I sort of played around with sort of a watercolour brush on digital, and it's kind of weird and it kind of does things, but you're not quite in control like you. I don't know. But at the same time, you don't get those kind of weird things that happen with real watercolour. When you're doing digital watercolour, sometimes it's just a little mechanical, whereas when you're doing real watercolour, whoa, things happen and things start moving around and you have to kind of sort of happenstance. I think that's what we're after. Trails TM, lol. Susie's playing on the 1 point perspective. Is there going to be something at that point that draws the eye? There could well be, but there doesn't have to be. There does not have to be. The vanishing point doesn't have to be something that is going to draw your eye. But if you want to, you can certainly have that, and you could use that as a kind of a technique to draw your eye into. So if you've got something in the distance that if in a story you're saying, we were heading towards the mountain, put the mountain on the vanishing point and then put the road going to it, because then your eye is really going to be taken there. Yeah. Next question, does 1 point perspective have to be in the centre? No, it doesn't. I'll be coming to that. I'm referring to the rule of thirds. Okay. Relax says 2 point perspective is where the serious stuff begins, and I think that might have to be for next time. Crispin's right. I was taught that the position of the horizon line is dependent on the height of the ground or the viewer's eye. It is, absolutely. And you can decide where you want to be. So in the first one, then that's actually sort of quite a tallish person looking right into the middle of the room, and the other one is someone who's sort of just a bit shorter or sitting down or something like that. And so that will sort of change the perspective. Completely change the perspective, you see. Crispin Dry says the room on the left is an adult's view, the one on the right is a child's view. Exactly, yeah. Manoj Gupta says, hi Shoo, which books are good for learn kids book illustrations? Basic and higher level? I have no idea. Just look at just look at kids books. Read kids books again and again and again. Look at them in pictures. Sit down with kids. Read to kids and watch their reactions, and you see they'll tell you which are the good ones. I personally think Where the Wild Things Are is the best children's book ever, and many other people agree with me, and there are very good reasons why. And if you search Shoo Rayner Where the Wild Things Are, you'll find I did a video explaining why it is the best picture book in the world, and the whole design of the thing and why it works so well. Good. So let's go back to the overhead camera and let's go to another room. Let's try something a little bit different this time. So we're going to have this. It's the front of the stage, isn't it? What do we call it? The proscenium arch or something, is it? And this time, let's go and put the horizon up there. Now that's going to be weird. So let's put a point there, into the middle, and down like that. And then we're going to want a back wall again, like that. And I'm just going to fade those bits out in the back wall a bit. And again, let's put the back of the... Actually, let's not go... I'm going to take that down a little bit there. Let's put the back of the wardrobe against the wall there, because that's the horizon line. And then we're going to take that line down there and that down there. So we're going to have to put that there, and then that's going to go there, and that's going to go there. So we're actually going to be looking on the top of the wardrobe this time. Okay, so this little bit I'm shading in now is actually the top of the wardrobe. And then we can, you know, have our mirrors and things in there. And then the chest of drawers, if again we kind of draw the side panel there, then that will be coming up there. And that will be coming up there like that. And we'll draw our 4 drawers in there. And that has a kind of different feel again. And this time we're looking down on the top of the wardrobe there. So this case, this was kind of an adult's point of view, adult eye level. This is a child's eye level. And this is a fly eye level, because you're sort of sitting up there on the ceiling looking down into the room. And again, you're going to have this carpet, you know, sort of the tiles sort of going like that. So it's a very, very different way of looking at the whole thing. I'll come back. Oh, the focus is out of there, isn't it? Let's just get that focused in again. I don't know what happened there. And let's come back and see, do you have anything else to say? There we are. Maxie Deb says, I prefer traditional for life. Does that mean for doing live drawing, stuff like that? Yeah. Yeah. I think it's just so much easier, isn't it? You can, if you're out sketching, you know, I think people go out sketching with an iPad, you know, when the batteries could run out halfway through. And I don't know. One thing I don't like about digital, with a pen and a tablet, whatever kind of, you know, even with a Wacom tablet, is it just feels the same. There are no haptics. Maybe there are on something, but there's no kind of feel of a different surface. And especially with like an iPen or an iPad, it's just shiny, slippy. There's no feedback. There's no tactical feedback. So I can see down below the name pronounces as Dimitro, and the second name, this is how you call it, is Nechai. Let's just say Dimitro. Okay, hi Dimitro. Dimitro says, Tom, hi. Yeah, I've heard about that. Just want to try art as a hobby, and I don't expect immediate results. Thanks for your reply. Manuscript says, thanks for the answer. You're too good. It's a pleasure. Demetra says, I know it's tricky for English speaking people. It's just a totally different alphabet, isn't it? And very hard to, is it, I think it's Cyrillic. Is it, it's not Greek. Or is it Greek? I don't know. Demetro, is that Greek? What language is that you've written your name in? I don't know. Maybe it's Greek. And it'll kind of, you kind of expect certain languages to have a certain shape, but then you stick it into a different font and it kind of throws you. Yeah, that's interesting. So, okay, so let's go on with another look at perspective. And I'm going to go to the overhead camera once again. So, what can we do next? So here we have the front of the room. It's the front of the stage. And this time, let's put the vanishing point right down there. Right at the bottom like that. Which means then that's going to be the back wall. And we can put the back of the wardrobe there, which means then that's going to go there. So it's just going to be that a little bit bigger. So this kind of invisible box that contains the wardrobe is like that. But the bottom is just completely flat. And the chest of drawers, again, we kind of draw on the side, but that's going to be seen flat on the bottom. And that's going to come down like that. And we're going to be doing the drawers like that. And then the ceiling light will be something like that. And if we wanted those picture rails up there as well, then we could sort of put them there and then up to there, and then that's going to be like that and like that, and then that's kind of that's what the room is going to look like. That's a totally different way of looking at it. I can see if anyone has anything to say. Oh, this is getting very, very interesting. So, Dimitro says, I'm from a Slavic country. Our alphabet is completely different. It certainly is, yeah. So, Susie's Playroom says, is that the bird's eye view? The third one. This is like an adult's eye view. This one is a child's eye view because it's lower down. This one is up above. So it's not really a bird's eye view. This is, let's come to a bird's eye view in a moment. This is really, well, in theory, this one here is the bird's eye view because you're right above looking down. So it's like a plan is the bird's eye view in theory. This is more like a fly sitting on the ceiling or very high up on the opposite wall, looking down into the room. And then this will be like a mouse or a beetle's eye view, right down. It's like a mouse coming out from under the skirting board, looking into the room, and that's what the mouse is going to see. So, you know, if you wanted to draw, if you wanted to do kind of an illustration about mice, and you wanted to sort of show a mouse's point of view as they're coming out of the room, this is the kind of perspective that you would want to be doing. So, where are we now then? I hope that's okay, Susie. Ing Sam says, hi from Denmark. Good dag. How are you doing? Good middag, in fact, he is. Rui Avila, hi Shoo, what have you studied? I have studied life. I think you're asking, did I go to art college and that kind of thing. I was going to be a scientist when I was at school, and then I found I wasn't very good at math, and I got kicked out of maths and told to go to the art department, where I discovered my love of drawing, and so when I left school I went into printing and I did all sorts of art jobs, and eventually I was about 23 or something. Eventually I went to art college, and I went to art college in Cambridge in England, and was just really lucky there with the kind of teachers that I had. Particularly I had a teacher called Colin McNaughton, who is and was at the time as well a famous picture book illustrator, and he used to come and teach us once a week there, and he just looked at my work and said, you should be a children's illustrator, and kind of sort of introduced me to the world of children's books, and sort of went on from there. And have I studied since? I'm always looking and researching and finding and studying and doing online courses and stuff like that. Just never stop, really. I know my wife gets very irritated because sometimes something comes up in conversation and I just have to get my phone and start tapping into the phone just to find out. And it's not because I want to go, no, there you are, I told you. It's because I want to know. I'm a seeker after truth and knowledge. How about that? Alessia, oh no, have I missed the tutorial? I'm always late to the party, but don't you can always go back and watch it again. It's not a problem. Alessia, oh yay. Trails, Dimitro means devoted truth or something. No? Oh, that sounds cool. And Dimitro says, ha, that's a regular name. I would say it's correspondent to Daniel. Okay. The second one, if translated in English, is a T. A bit funny. Okay. Manoj Gupta, what activities needs to do as an artist for perfect into drawing, expressions and storytelling? I think if it sounds like you wanted to do children's books and things like that, that kind of illustration. So one thing I would do, particularly with the storytelling, read lots of picture books. Lots and lots and lots of picture books and see how they work. Find the ones that you like. Analyze them, break them down. Why does it work? As far as the drawing is concerned, life drawing, just draw what's in front of you. Draw people, draw movement, just draw anything. Just keep drawing. That is the secret. Relax says, could you show us how those rules would apply to less squarish shapes, like a tree, for example? Okay. Dimitri says, this is Ukrainian. The alphabet is Cyrillic. As you guessed, good. Trail says, cool. Susie's Playroom. I have been attempting the bark method in charcoal. I'm afraid you have me there. I'll have to look that up later. Trails, lol, awesome. Intro to Shakespeare. Alessia, Shoo, what's the best way to practice kids? I have two at home. They never sit still. Not even for a photograph. Some kids just don't do that, do they? Have you tried telling stories? I bet if you say to your kids, do you want to hear a story? I bet they immediately go into this, oh, and they'll come, it's a great word in Welsh called cwtch, C-W-T-C-H, cwtch, and it means sitting together, hugging together on the sofa, kind of reading a book. And once you start on a picture book, they kind of, something happens. Story has this amazing power to calm children down. So just keep telling them stories. That's and even when you take a little photograph, turn it into a story. Make them part of the story. Let them act the story while you're taking the photograph. How about that? Dimitri said, I'm amazed you are so happy and positive. Oh, you should see the rest of the day. I'm completely depressed. Don't worry. it's just being here with you guys. So, Trails, give them some vodka. Don't. I'll just wind them up even more. Don't drink at all. Think it's unhealthy. I don't need that. No, exactly. So, let's go back. No, I've got another thing. Let's go back to the overhead camera. So let's continue this perspective saga. Was it Susie's Playroom, I think? Was it Susie's Playroom said, does it have to be in the middle? Dun, dun, dun. Good question. I don't see why. Let's see what happens. So I kind of, which did we feel was, I think this felt most sort of natural somehow. So let's have an horizon about there. Let's have the vanishing point over there. And sometimes, I don't know if you go to the theatre. I don't go to the theatre a lot, but sometimes the stage is open when you get there, and you can see the stage before the act. While you're sitting down and getting in position, and sometimes they do weird things. So it's like the floor is raked up at a weird angle, and they play around with perspective to get as much feeling of space on the stage as possible. So what would happen here? Well, we need a back wall. Okay, and I know you don't want to keep doing a square room, but we'll move out of that in a moment. So let's do the same thing, you see. You know that the back of the cupboard is going to be about there, and it's about sort of building boxes and building things, isn't it? So that's the point there. So that's going to be coming out there. That will be coming there. That will be coming there, and that will be coming there. So that, the front of the wardrobe is going to be something like that. And then here again, you've got the side of the Wardrobe is about like that, and that will be coming there. That will be coming there. And then we can do the wardrobe, that chest of drawers like that. And in a way that starts looking a bit more natural as well, doesn't it? Because we don't usually just sit bang in the middle of the room looking at it. And then if we wanted to have that picture rail, where's that going? That'll be going something like that in there as well. And that just starts looking a little bit more natural. And so there was one other thing I was going to think about. But again, this is quite low. And so in some ways, these looking down ones kind of feel a little bit more natural, because you do kind of tend to, this is kind of still looking quite low, so you're sort of, it's kind of a baby's point of view, isn't it? I suppose a baby sitting on the floor will be seeing it something like that, and they're imagining that that everything's going off to there. So how do you do that with a tree? Well, it's all basically the same. So you had the horizon there, and that was the vanishing point. So you could decide that you want to have a tree. Let's have a tree right on the vanishing point, like that, so that your eye is being drawn to the vanishing point. And let's put those lines in there. Then if we had a tree here, it's the same as we did the telegraph poles. So you know, this is your tree, and that's basically the round part of the top, okay? And then so we're thinking that's kind of where the round part starts. Okay, this is not very technical terms, is it? This is what happens when you're drawing and talking at the same time. So that actually wants to be going like that, so that will be there. So if you had an avenue of trees like that, they're going to be doing something like that. And you can then, you know, draw your tree going off and doing whatever it's going to do. Something, doing strange branches. These are not the best trees I've ever drawn, I don't think, but you can get them in proportion, like by doing that kind of thing, like that. And then you know that the horizon line is going to be back there somewhere. And quite often, say, you will have you could have trees like that on the side of a canal. So that might be coming along here. And then if you wanted a boat in the canal, that's also going to be going off, following all those rules. So that's going to be something like that coming down the canal, like that. And then you might want some clouds in the background and stuff. And that's kind of how you... Oh, sorry about that. I'm probably going to have to do that again then. So I did this last time, and then I had to go and cut that out. So let's start again with this. We're going to take a horizon line. Where has it gone? There we are. I'm going to get a new piece of paper, that's the problem. Okay, so I'm going to come back and edit this out a bit later. Let's start again with... let's start again with this kind of room feeling. But it's not going to be a room this time, it's like a landscape painting. And that's going to be the horizon. And Susie's Playroom was asking about, I think it was Susie's Playroom, was asking about how do you fit trees in? And also, does the vanishing point have to be a point of interest? It certainly can be. So if we had the vanishing point there, we can have a tree, and this is all on the camera, isn't it? So we could have a tree like that, and then we could have a tree. Now, the vanishing point will be coming at all these different angles from that point there. And here we might want to have another tree, okay? But this is going to be much more in the foreground, like that. And if we kind of think that that is going to be about where the kind of the ball of the top of the tree is going to be, then we want to follow sort of that line back there, and then this is going to be the height of all the trunks of the other trees in this avenue of trees. And then if that's the top of the tree, in fact that should be it's going to be slightly confusing, because this is going to be an enormous tree because I've drawn that already, and in fact then the the vanishing point really should be over here somewhere, shouldn't it? So the vanishing point should be over here, but we wanted to have that tree on the vanishing point, so let's see what happens. So that will be there, and then that will be there, and then we can have these, the tree in the foreground is going to be something like that, and then the next tree in this avenue will be something like that, and then the next tree is going to be about there, and the next tree is going to be about there, and then this one right at the back is an enormous tree, so we'll actually make it look a bit different. So that's kind of an avenue drawing you down, and then, you know, it could be a canal or a path or something like that that you're going to have there, drawing your eye down to that vanishing point. And then that was your horizon there. And we can have the sun shining, and we can have clouds in the background, and that's kind of how you would sort of build up your landscape with perspective. Let's come back to here. It's gone very sunny. Yeah. So, oh, looks like we got lots of comments there. Probably lots of people saying, quick, turn the camera around. I can't be seeing what's going on. Bart Method, there we are. Demetria says, I'm amazed you're happy that we've done that. Oh, I meant the kids. Give them some vodka and they will sit still. No, they won't. No. Rui Avila, I love your videos. My girlfriend is an art student, a very talented woman, very, very talented woman, only in her 20s in her works. So I like to watch your videos just to try to learn how to draw, to present her with my poor draws. I'm sure they're not that bad. And the more you practice, the better you get. And also the more you practice, the more you'll begin to understand what's going on in her head as well, because she's obviously an artist and thinks that way. And if you kind of want to understand her a bit more, that's a great way, is to draw yourself and so you talk in the same language. Drawing is a language. Rui Avila says, but I guess the meaning is the most important. Thank you. Oh, I can't remember what. Oh, there we are. Carolina, hi, back from work. Missed the first half hour. Really appreciate. I can watch the tutorials later offline. That's great. I think I think we've gone an hour ahead of you, haven't we, Carolina? There in Germany. There. So Susie's Playroom moment. I got it. Thank you. Light bulb moment. Ah, good. Great. Tammy Stewart, is there a children's book that you can think of that breaks the rules of perspective drawing? Well, I think there are many, probably. I think if you let me just have a little think over here. I think in a children's book you have a page, and it's a story is the thing about it. So you're going to have text. You're going to have, this is a tree, with a cat. So, you know, there's no reason why you can't have, this is the tree and this is a cat. And immediately that has broken all the rules of perspective. And you could you could sort of say this is a tree and here are some cats. So you could have the tree in the middle and you could have lots of cats sort of dancing around it. It doesn't matter. It becomes a design thing. You kind of move. You can break out of perspective and sort of turn it into a design element, where you're just drawing one sort of beautifully shaped tree, and the cats are going around it, but they don't. So it's kind of like a bird's eye view, in a way. So you've got these sort of cats, say, racing around, like that. Doing things, but the wonderful thing with the picture book is you can break all the rules. I found the ones that break. You didn't see that, did you? Did you see that? Is that getting? Is it getting blinded by the light or something? That's something really weird on the screen. I'm saying half of this is not showing up. So if that's why. There we go. So here, if you've got, this is a tree, bang, this is a cat. They're not in perspective, they're not in equal size, but they make up a picture, they make up a page. And here you can have, this is a tree, and the cats run around, or it could be one cat running around it, but you've got this kind of motion, and it's not really perspective, it's a whole kind of design motif, really. And yet it kind of makes sense. Whereas you could see, I get carried away and forget that it needs to be in the camera. Whereas also you could have the tree there, and so the cat went round the tree, so you could have a kind of a movement like that, and the cat going there, or you could have, you could say it's 5 cats going around the tree. That one's missing. They've gone round behind the tree. This one's coming around the other side. Neat little ears on here as well, don't we? And then we want another one here. But you could have lots of sort of zoom marks whooshing the whole thing, so that they're kind of, so you've got this movement going around behind the tree. So again, like it's a stage set. And then you've probably got an horizon there. And so you have got this sort of perspective kind of thing going on there, but if you take away that horizon and just have white space, it becomes a kind of a design element, really. So where are we now? Diddly diddly dee. Clay, how are you doing, Clay? It says, when you get a moment, could you center the tree drawing on the camera? Yeah, I'm sorry. Tammy Stewart says, foreshortening. Yeah, foreshortening is all part of this. So, and foreshortening is kind of, I think probably one thing that everybody knows with foreshortening is, your country needs you, which in our country it was Kitchener with a great big moustache in the First World War, and in the States there was an Uncle Sam one, wasn't there? And there's this great big thumb and this great big finger and this great big hand. Change cameras. So, that's this great big finger. Look, can you see? There's this great big finger. This is foreshortening. Your country needs you. An enormous finger, and my whole hand here is, there we are, is bigger than my head. So sort of Uncle Sam had a top hat, didn't he, with sort of stars and stripes like that, and a beard, something like that. And so his whole hand could be just having a look. His whole hand could be like that. 2, 3. Your country needs you, like that. And so this is foreshortening. When something is nearer to you, it is bigger. When it is further away, it is smaller. And you can use perspective to work out that foreshortening thing. Although I'm trying to think sort of where is this going to be? I think probably it's going to be in his nose, something like that, isn't it? Probably this. Yeah. I think quite a lot of I think quite a lot of sort of foreshortening is probably done with cameras. I think people kind of look and see things in camera and go, oh wow, that's really cool. Because, you know, if I'm doing that, is that going to focus? Where does it focus? Oh, it doesn't want to focus. So and I think an awful lot happens when when the camera came in and you go, wow, that's amazing, and sort of things that the camera sees have sort of transferred into art and become part of the language of art. And you know, even way back they had camera obscura and they could sort of see those things. And when you I know David Hockney did this brilliant thing of the what's it, marriage, I can't, you know, the guy with the big hat and the green coat, and the wife's got the big sort of green thing and she looks pregnant, you know, the whichever one, the something marriage. And David Hockney did this wonderful thing where he kind of worked and he made a model of the room, and it all fits in just so perfectly to a camera obscura that it's just so obvious that you know, sort of optical techniques were used to copy how the room worked and everything. But from using those optical techniques, these kind of laws of perspective gets worked out so that you don't have to use the camera, you can kind of work it out. Does this make sense? Susie's Playroom, yeah, we got that. There we are. Clay, calamity, foreshortening, crisp and dry. There's a little picture of a cat, I think. Foreshortening doesn't break the rules; it hyperbolizes them. Yeah, and I think you can use foreshortening to just to really kind of to make things really dramatic, you know, and you can put your hand back there and you know, things are drama. Foreshortening can really bring drama into things, and it's also an interesting thing when you are looking at drawings. You know, quite often my wife will say, oh, I really like this painting. I said, it's a photograph. And she kind of rolls her eyes. And she says, how do you know? I said, because the eye just doesn't see that way. And it's so many great, you know, paintings you can look at. Wow, that's amazing. It is amazing because it's a painting of a photograph. And it kind of looks like what you expect it to be. And quite often you look at it and you go, but you just don't, that foot is just enormous or something, you know, it's just out of proportion. It's not in a way that a human eye sees it. And so often you'll see that with paintings. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, there is this whole thing of sort of realism, hyper-realism, which is basically copying a photograph and painting it, which just doesn't satisfy me. There's nothing wrong with it. And when you see hyper-realistic painting, you go, wow, it's a technical tour de force. But for me, it doesn't satisfy me, sort of sitting there, sort of painting something that I know is a photograph. But I will kind of use photographic evidence. What's the word? Photographic reference. To sort of get those tricky little things. But I don't have the camera, I don't have the photograph in front of me while I actually do the drawing. I get it into my head. I use the reference to get it into my head, and I'll sketch with a sketch and try things out. But when I actually come to sort of do the work, I put all the reference away and then work from sketches that I've done, because otherwise it starts looking like a photograph. Clay Ratcliffe, thanks, Shoo. There we are, good. Trail says, my teacher says it does. What? you need foreshortening. Anyway, yeah. Relax. That's a debate. There we are. Don't worry about camera so much. Mistakes happen sometimes. Thank you. This perspective with trees looks quite nice. Thank you. Hi, Shoo. Thanks for another great video. Love your sketchbook tours. Will there be another one soon? I haven't had time to do any sketchbook recently, and at the moment we are locked in, and you know, sort of I spend all my time sort of doing this and working on books that I just haven't had time. I would just love to have a day off and go out sketching, but can't do that at the moment. Not allowed out to do that. There will be one soon, though. Also, as a teacher, I read through a lot of children's books with different media, including pop-up books and books of real-life textures and materials. Have you considered experimenting with this? Yes, absolutely. And I've done Lift the Flat books a long time ago, and they were great fun. Pop-up is another thing altogether. Actually, one of my very first books was a pop-up. There were 2 little books I did. And I designed the pop-ups very, very simple. And one was called the Deep Blue Sea, and the other one was called Birds of a Feather. And they were probably my first ever books, and I've never seen a copy. And it was just one of those things when I was starting out, and the publishers just screwed me completely. And I went in to complain one day. She said, "If you want your money, sign here." That's it. I signed them all away, and I think they came out in America. I sold them on 8 books once or something. I saw that they're listed somewhere, but I've never actually seen a copy of my own books. Jan Monson, awesome. I love drawing. Thanks for the stream. Pleasure. There we go. Demetrio says, sunlight on paper is so bright, pencil gets blinded. Yeah, no, I think I fixed that. Relax. When it's sunny in England and rainy in France, you know the end of the world is near. Demetrio, oh, you already fixed that. There we are. Trails TM, only in France. Yeah, Monson. It's rainy here in Norway. Oh, good middag to you. I hope that means the world gets another hour or 2. And relax, lovely neck you've got there. Thank you. Tim Allen's Shoe perspective curved train track. Crispin Dry got that cat again. Dimitri, your country needs you. Now Shoo will teach us how to make propaganda drawings. Susie's Playroom, what is the difference of a camera obscura and a camera lucida? I don't know, but maybe I'll find out. Tim Allen, what is camera lucida? Lucida. You're all going on Google now, aren't you? I guess a picture of Lucinda. Relax. I agree with you. Hyper-realistic paintings are kind of boring and often lack personality. I don't want to put anybody down or anything, but there are some times when they go, wow, and it is a tour de force or something. But yeah, hyper-realistic. I really like a hyper-realistic drawing of a fantasy. Does that make sense? Then that's because it's not just the thing that's in front of you. So, like a hyper-realistic picture of something imaginative. That's like Salvador Dali did, like we were talking about last time. Susie's Playroom. The moment you cheat for the sake of beauty, you know you are an artist. David Hockney. There you go. Susie's Playroom. Have you ever read Secret Knowledge? If so, you should, I guess. Is that? No, I haven't. I think. Do you recommend it? No, I haven't. So I will look into that. And there we are. So what was that? Let's just have one last look. Let's see what we can do about a curved train track. Oh, yes. I got a different thing. So I look up in my camera the camera thing up here. I think, I haven't been showing that, but I have. Yes. So anyway, let's go to that. I think, I've had the wrong camera on all this time, but no, thank heavens. So let's do this again. And a curved train track, I think you'll probably want to have, again, we'll have the horizon over there. I think you want it sort of coming around there. And let's draw some kind of lines coming out, whatever. And so we're going to want this sort of track coming around. And you just know that it's going to want to be getting bigger as it gets towards you, really. And you're kind of using these lines. So we're going to have sort of wheels on there. And so we're going to have kind of a curved perspective. And let's I'm just doing this as a box, really. And then that's going to be sort of curving around to there, but that's not quite right either, is it? So I might have to think about this. And these will be getting shorter and shorter and shorter as they go into the distance. So let's bring a kind of a front to the train, something like that. And then some windows down the side, something like that. It's not quite doing what you actually mean, is it? I think I'm going to have to think about that. But that's sort of working. I think this is kind of I think this is along the lines of non-Euclidean geometry. So instead of using lines, we start using curves, and there's no reason you can't do that. But then that becomes much more complicated, I think. So if you have the vanishing point there, you start doing everything in curves, then it's just going to be you could sort of have your train sort of going like that, and this is where we start distorting everything basically. So you sort of start, and your trees will be then your avenue of trees will be coming that way then, and you're sort of creating a distorted perspective, which is sort of something you just play with, I think, really, and see what happens. So, Monson says, if David Hockney cheats for the sake of beauty, that doesn't make him an artist, just a cheater, in my humble opinion. Ooh, Demetrio, I would like to see perspective curve train track 2, as Tim said earlier. Chris would like cheat, as in not reproduce an image like a camera. Hockney is one of the greatest living artists in the world, and he infuriates me sometimes. Sometimes I think, whoa, and sometimes I think, oh, I don't know. But he's always interesting. So some things Hockney does I just love, but it's the same with everybody, isn't it? I think some things he does I just love, and some things I'm not quite sure about, but those are the ones where he's probably investigating and trying something new and hasn't quite got there yet. So Demetrio, hey, what fundamentals would you recommend to study first for a complete beginner? Maybe this question sounds a bit weird, but in fact I didn't even know that there are fundamentals in art. Go and look up Shoo Rayner, Everyone Can Draw. So I've got a book called Everyone Can Draw, which sort of starts with something. And I based this whole idea on Euclid, basically. So if you go to if you go on my, what's it called, the page, YouTube page, you will see there Everyone Can Draw. There's a whole series of there's a whole little kind of course, and it starts off with sort of, if you can draw a point and another point and you connect the two, you can draw. That's all drawing is. It's making a mark from one place to another, and that's all it is. And then it says, now make another point, and you got a triangle, and then it shows how to turn that triangle into a pyramid. And to sort of get all these different effects, how to turn squares into cubes, how to turn circles into spheres, how to fit that sphere into that cube, and it'll just start sort of showing you these kind of basic blocks of shapes. And I'll show you, we had right at the beginning, I can't remember who it was asking right at the beginning about the chin. Crispin, right? No, it wasn't. Jessica Taylor says, I can draw faces in different angles. Fine, but I really struggle with adding the chin. So, this is a sphere, okay? It isn't, it's a circle. But if you then imagine it's a globe, you have a North Pole and a South Pole, and you've got the line of longitude like that. You've got the equator, which is a line of latitude like that. We can put the eyes on the equator, and we can put the nose there like that. And that kind of gives us a little face. If we draw that again so that we tilt the head, so we're tilting the axis, the North Pole's up there, the line of longitude is there, the line of the equator is there. and then we can do it like that. Okay, so when we want to put the chin on there, here we have the Earth. There is the North Pole and the South Pole joined together by a line of longitude, and then we want the equator, which is a line of latitude. So if you take a journey from the North Pole around and then drop off the edge of the world at a tangent to the world, then kind of join up there like that, then we can put your nose there, and we really want to have the eyes a little bit lower, probably, to make it look a bit more sort of adult. There'll be a line of longitude coming around there on the side, so you know where the ears will go. And then you can sort of put some hair on the top like that. So we can do the same character, say maybe looking down a bit there like that, which means that the axis is now like that. So we're coming down. When we come to the equator, we're not dropping down vertically, we are dropping at a tangent to the sphere, down like that. So we can bring that around there like that. The eyes will be where we had them there, and then the nose and there, and then the ear will be like that, and then we know that the hair is going to be something like that. And then we could just do one more looking up. So if we had the axis like that, the equator there, and the line of longitude looking that way, so then as we come from the North Pole, we come around and then we drop at a tangent to the sphere, and then we'll come around like that, and then we'll know the ear will be there, the nose will be there, and the mouth will be about there, and we can put the hair in there like that. Ta-da! So you do need to be able to scream at me. He's almost got it, lol, blah, blah, blah. Can somebody ring his doorbell or something? Oh, I know. I'm sorry. You should focus on anatomy and perspective. It sounds really boring, and it often is. I've overlooked it for years, and I'm progressing much faster now that I study fundamentals. Yeah. And go and see if there's a live class somewhere near you, and you know, and it's embarrassing because there are naked people or something like that, but but there are people there who'll be quite happy to sort of help you and show you and to draw and things like that. So I spy with my 2 YouTube awards, blah blah blah. I spy with my lied 2 YouTube awards. You do. Dun dun dun. Those are my 2 Silver Play Awards. He will finish the drawing, then read the chat. Check out his chair. We missed it all. Monogram. You should probably change your setup, show both cameras at all times. You're probably right. Technology can be a pain, lol. Yeah, relax. Called it. Ha. He. Ha. Well, he didn't frustrate at all. Love it. Hi Shoo, hugs from Brazil. Hi there, how are you? Thanks for this tutorial. I learned so much from your videos. Great. Demetrio, Shoo, do you believe in theory that you need to put 10,000 hours of practice to be good at something? I think you need to put something like that in to be good at something. Yeah. Yeah. But you do, but some things you don't, because you probably put quite a lot in already. So drawing, you probably did quite a lot when you were a kid. So you put some of those hours in as a kid, and you can build on those hours. And those hours that you did learning geometry as well, they all come in. So some of those hours count, okay? Max Carvajal says, me gusta mucho su forma de dibujo excelente. Pura vida desde Costa Rica. Sorry, I'm not very good at speaking Spanish. I don't speak Spanish at all. So there we go. We have been going for quite a while, so I think it's probably time. I said thank you all for watching. Don't forget, if you want to kind of help this keep going, you can buy me a cup of coffee on my Patreon page. Which is, again, patreon.com/Shoo Rayner. And I'm going to call it a day. Look, I've had a cup of tea that has been sat here for about an hour, probably 2 hours now. And I'm going to drink that. And I'm going to say, I'll see you tomorrow, and I haven't quite decided what we'll talk about tomorrow. But maybe there are problems and things that you want to know about, in which case, let me know at Shoo Rayner. Shooby-doodle. See you tomorrow. Well, thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed that, then please do make sure you are subscribed to the Shoo Rayner Drawing channel, and while you're about it, click the little bell next to the subscribe button and you will be notified when the next live drawing video will be. In the meantime, keep drawing, practice, and I'll see you next time. You take care now. Bye-bye.